We joined Calvary back in October 2014. Prior to that time, I was working as an attorney and doing some coaching. I had played basketball in college at Loyola University, so I enjoy basketball, and I coached in the community here at school, different schools and clubs and things. And I was pretty busy. I traveled a fair amount with work and had a pretty heavy schedule, but my wife was our anchor at home and took care of a lot of the things, getting kids to where they needed to be. And so my life was kind of going along at that speed. And May 12th was Mother's Day. I was at home after visiting my parents, and my daughter Carrie was with me, and there was a storm that came in from the west, and I could see it through the windows, and it was kind of a green sky. So we said we should go out and check it out before the rain starts. And as I was walking out, I collapsed on our kitchen table. My wife and I went to see a cardiologist from University of Chicago, and while we were there, the whole left side of my face and arm and leg were kind of like a stroke. And they took me by ambulance to University of Chicago for a better part of 7 or 8 days, and then they released me to go home. And I went back to work the following week as was scheduled, and I realized when I got in the office, I didn't know what I was supposed to do next. And so I went out in the hallway and asked a paralegal to come in my office, and she'd worked with me in the past, and I said, "Trish, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do." And she said, "What do you mean, Bob?" And I said, "I don't know what to do." A little while later, a couple days later, I had a phone call with one of my other partners, and we were talking to an expert. And he could tell by the questions I asked and the things I was saying, the other attorney, that I wasn't myself. And so he suggested I go see a neuropsychologist up in Chesterton and get some testing done. And as the course of therapy went on, I realized, and she realized, that therapy wasn't going to change where I was at that point. And so over the course of time, it was made clear to me from my doctors that I wasn't going to go back to work. Here I was 49 and not able to work. And so my wife took care of, she went back to work, which was great, but because she was gone and the kids were gone at school, I was home alone. You know, it's a pretty intimidating thing when you're home and you're not sure where you're at. And so my wife would call and make sure I was okay. We have to laugh about some of the things I say, because I tend to say things that are either not socially appropriate sometimes, or just, I'll say, that boy came home and he went upstairs and the girl hasn't come home yet. Well, that's my son Justin and my daughter Mary. So all that to say, you know, it's been a challenge. It's going from independent to dependent on other people. During this time, you figure, what are you going to do with home all day? And it gave me an amazing time to read the Bible. I'd read parts of the Bible, but I was able to read the Bible in its entirety. And, you know, I couldn't always retain it all, but there's something about the Bible that it's not about retaining, it's just about understanding. And it's not a book about facts, it's a book about love. And I was used to reading things as an attorney for the facts of it, to understand the details. And what I realized was the amazing love that God had for me and my family and the other people, you know, around the world. And so I'd read something and the Holy Spirit would kind of encourage me, you should send that out as a text. Or so I would start on my phone and I'd be thumbing in a text, and pretty soon I realized I had 5 paragraphs of a text. And that's not typically what people use texting for, but the Spirit would say, send it to these people. And over time, you know, some people would say thanks, some people would say got it, and other people I wouldn't hear from. And then I would see them and they'd say, you know, that text you sent me, I just got out of a meeting and your text was perfect timing and you said exactly what I needed to hear. How'd you know? And I said, well, there's no way I could know what you were doing, you know. I just woke up. Holy Spirit gave me some words and apparently wanted me to send it to you. These encouragement opportunities came, you know, I'm sitting, how can I help other people? You know, I'm sitting kind of helpless at home. The maturity in me is to realize that it's not about me and to not worry about my limitations and shortcomings, but try to use the many gifts God's given me and the talents I still have to reach out and help other people. And you don't have to go outside the walls of your home to do that. A lot of times people sit there and think, how can God's love come in this form? How can God love me when I'm in the hospital? How can God love me when I'm stuck at home? How can this be love? Put me in a position where I can't do what I used to do. And, I'm stuck here. How can this be described as love? What I've realized is that if you give that time, God is putting you in exactly where you need to be when you need to be there. God is in the struggles. God takes us through those struggles to refine us a little bit and to help us understand that, His love is what keeps us going day to day. It's not something we can do on our own, because sometimes it's all we have. And those times it's all we have, it's also all we need. God puts us in positions that we might not choose initially, but when we realize the impact we're having on other people, or that we can have on other people, we're being loved, and we're reflecting His love to other people.